If I look extra sparkly on camera, it is not on purpose. I tried a new like ColourPop shimmer on my eyelid, and the eyeshadow went on the eye. The shimmer fell all over my face, so I had to put on some liquid eyeshadow to like have some shimmer in there, and I just feel like I look like I just had glitter thrown in my face for no reason today. But it is not for no reason. Hey friends, it's Teresa and welcome back to my channel. Today's video has me not wearing any kind of lip product. 1 second. Hey friends, it's Teresa and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be me discussing all of the books that I have purchased from probably the end of last year, so the end of 2022, like around the September, October-ish months, to about now. It's not like an excessive amount of books per se, but it's still a lot. And one of these books isn't even like I bought it or I received it. It was actually a Christmas gift my boyfriend got, and he was like, I'm just gonna put it in your shelves. And I was like, well, now I have to haul it. So let's get into it. A lot of these books I have read already, or at least a handful of them I have read. Some of them have been for a series that I was doing. So yeah, if I have made any videos for those books or any playlists or anything, I will leave them linked down below for you guys so you guys can go ahead and check out my thoughts on all of them, because I'm not going to be discussing all of my thoughts on them. I'll also be leaving like reviews if I made any of them for them. So yeah, let's get into it, because it's a lot of things and we all know I like to babble. So I'm going to start off with my two two books that I don't talk about on the channel very often, or like a hobby that I don't talk about, and that is like tarot. The first one I got for my birthday. My sister got it for me, and I've been reading through it and like doing the highlighting thing. But that is Modern Tarot, Connecting with Your Higher Self Through the Wisdom of the Cards by Michelle Tea. This is, as it is, like a tarot book. It's not very, I would say, it is like beginner friendly, but it's also not very beginner friendly. Like, I'd say if you like are like, you know, like me, you're still kind of feeling out the cards, still kind of struggling a little bit with it, but you have like an idea of what the cards mean and everything, this is probably a good book for you. It just kind of talks about the meaning of the cards. As you can tell, I have like outlined it. The meaning of the cards specifically and more in depth. So far she puts her own like personal stories in here to kind of relate to the cards, and then like ways you can use the cards to work with it, like working with the Tower. I haven't done that portion of it. This book, I have just been reading the meanings just to try and like pull out keywords that I can remember when I am pulling out cards. This book only does talk about like the general like upright ideas of the cards. If you're looking for more like reverse, like learning about the reversals, or like keywords for what it means for like love or monetary or financial situations or career situations, the next book is probably better for you. But I think this is a good book if you're like me, somewhere like in the middle, like beginner and intermediate, still struggling a little bit, and you just kind of want to like have more in-depth and less like flowery descriptions of the book, of the cards. The next one is another tarot, and that is, like I said, for definitely more beginner. I do use this quite a lot, especially when I'm looking at like more specific things, because like, you know, the booklets in like tarot card decks or tarot decks tend to just like be very like keywords, or sometimes they're very long and flowery. But that is a big book of tarot meanings by Sam Magdaleno, and he was the creator of Sam the Cosmic Witch. This book is, like I said, a very beginner friendly thing. It like has the cards that you guys need, and it tells you like what it means, the keywords for each card for upright and reversed. It talks about like if you're like looking at it for beginnings, or if you're looking for like a career reading, or like a money or a love, or like friends and family, health, higher guidance, or like outcomes. I definitely would recommend this book if you are into that, or like looking into like more in-depth definitions of the tarot book, or like the tarot cards. I find that like a lot of the tarot decks I do have don't always give me like the in-depth definition that I want in the moment to like help me flush it out. So this has been like really, really helpful when I do tarot readings, and I'm like, well, I don't know what that means in terms of like, and I read the booklet that came with the deck, and I'm like, well, I don't know how that means in terms of like what I want the outcome to be, or like maybe my sister wants like a romance reading or a financial career reading, and I'm like, well, what does that mean in terms of this? It's very helpful. Highly recommend it. I'm gonna move on to my nonfiction books, just kind of keeping in the line of that. The first one is actually like a relationship self-help book. I didn't think I was ever going to buy one of these books, but one of the podcasters I listened to, Nick Viall, from like the Bachelor series, really loved his advice whenever I listened to it. I think it's like very big brother. So when I found he was coming out with the book, I had to buy it. And that is Don't Text Your Ex Happy Birthday and Other Advice on Love, Sex, and Dating by Nick Viall. Like I said, he's a podcaster, one of the few men that I trust with a podcast mic. And he's also a contestant that was on previously The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, I believe, and Bachelor in Paradise. He's now engaged to his sweetheart, and I love that for him. But like I said, it's like basically just an advice book. Nick kind of talks about like the stages of like relationships, like starting out in the dating field, getting back into it, what it means to like moving in, getting married, all those things, just because he has that kind of like several relationships that have been highly televised, and like does run a podcast that is specifically around like giving advice to other people who call in and ask for relationship advice. Like I said, I've always found his relationship very much grounded in like reality, and very much like, oh, don't dump him, like kind of, but like in very much grounded. It's very like Big Brother. It's the things that someone who has a lot of knowledge on like dating and relationships that I would trust, and it doesn't feel too like up in the clouds or too like too many chronically online takes. So I really enjoyed that, and I want to read this book. The next nonfiction book I have already read and did a review of it. I don't know if I made a Goodreads review of it, but it should be somewhere in like, I'll check back and see which like wrap up it is in. I want to say like December or January of this year, so I'll leave that wrap up link down below for you guys. But that is I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. I don't have to give you guys too much info on this. It's the hit book. It's Jennette touching on all of the things from when she was a young child to an adult now, and her relationship with her mother, her relationship with Nickelodeon, her relationship with everything in between. This next book my boyfriend actually got for Christmas, because I got him really into this podcast, Another Man That I Will Trust with a Microphone, and that is Vain Enough, Undefining My Masculinity by Justin Baldoni. I recommend his podcast if you guys haven't watched it. It's just him, his friend, Liz, and then his friend, what's his other friend's name? Jamie. Yes. And they discuss like masculinity in terms of like from a white perspective, a black perspective, and then a woman's perspective. And like they bring on guests, and it's just very like, I think, profound way of looking at masculinity and looking at like how it affects everyone on the table and not just like the one person. My boyfriend really liked this book. He said he cried a couple times. I can't say I recommend this book because I haven't read it yet, but my boyfriend recommends this book, and I recommend the podcast. So take your pick on what media you would like to consume. But I'm excited to read it in this book and see what Justin Baldoni says. Again, his podcast has discusses a lot of heavy topics. There was one that always gets to me, and that's the one where they talk about how like men don't necessarily know how to be the caretaker. And that was like a very emotional podcast to listen to, and like all the stuff of like how like men will divorce women when they get terminally ill, or get a disability because they are not raised to or conditioned to be a caretaker in the emotional sense that women are. So yeah, recommend the podcast. My boyfriend will probably recommend the book to you. So the next 5 books are actually part of a series that I did on my channel where I read through the entire series, and that is for the Vampire Academy books. I have books 2 through 6 here. I have Frostbite, Shadow Kiss, Blood Promise, Spirit Bound, and The Last Sacrifice. If you guys want to know my thoughts on these books, I will leave the playlist for the series down below, so you guys can go ahead and get it, like see what all my thoughts were on all 6 books. These books are kind of getting a little heavy, and I can't hold them up pretty well because my hands are not long enough to do that. But it's a YA urban fantasy following a young girl who's destined to protect vampires, and her best friend is a vampire, and she is half vampire. And there's angst, there's romance, there's death, there's politics, there's friendship. It's a lot of things and more. I can't hold on to these books anymore, so I'm just gonna put them down. But highly recommend the series if you haven't. I probably will be reading through the like spin-off series because I love Adrian, but that's a discussion for a different time. Going away now. The next book is a Christmas rom-com that I have plans to fully read in Christmas, and that is All I Want for Christmas by Maggie Knox. I've already read one of Maggie Knox's other Christmas novels. I forgot where I put it. I really enjoyed that one. I don't know exactly what this one is about, but like looking at the guitar, the microphone, and the thingy here, I'm assuming it's going to be like a rom-com reality American Idol situation. There's a cute little doggo. So I'm excited to see what this is about. I did read the synopsis when I purchased the book, but I did that back in like December or January of this year and last year. So I have no concept of what it is, but I'm assuming, just judging by like the cover of the book and then like the stage, it's going to be some kind of like I want to say like either we're getting country star, which not my vibe, but we'll work with it, or we're getting like some kind of Gilmore Girls meets The Parent Trap meets Cake Wars. Interesting. But I'm assuming it's going to be like some weird romance in a competition where they have to sing. I don't know, but it looks interesting, so I'll let y'all know when I have read it in Christmas time, when this book is set. The next one is a book I have already read, and that is Homicide in Halo Halo by Mia P. Manansala. I have read the first book, which is Arsenic in the Zobo. This is the sequel to it, and it follows Leela as she is like trying to just go about the world and somehow gets stuck in these weird mysteries that she now has to solve because the cops can't do anything. It's a cozy mystery. I really have enjoyed the first two books. I think the second book is probably my favorite out of the two that I've read so far. I know that the third book is out already. The fourth book, I believe, is coming out, and then she just announced the fifth, I think. I follow her on social media, but like, I'm very forgetful about how many books have come out because I feel like I just bought the first book, and then the second book was announced to come out later the next year, and then the third book was announced to be in the process of being ready to come out, so I don't know the timeline anymore. I just know I really enjoyed these books, and I love the fact that La Longaniza is right there. It's about a Filipino-American woman who, like I said, is trying to run her own bakery, but she gets stuck in these very, like, I want to say kind of Hallmark, but like Hallmark step up mysteries where people keep getting murdered in front of her, and she somehow not only gets trapped in the middle of everything, but ends up solving it because the cops can't seem to do their job. I recommend the series if you haven't already. I love Mia. I would love to give her a hug one of these days, but no one comes to where I live. It's fine, I'm okay. I'm gonna go on to a big chunker, and that is Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare. This is the last book in the Last Hours trilogy. What can I tell you about this series? I have a full vlog and a review of this book, so I will leave those linked down below if you guys have any concerns of like what my thoughts were on this chunky thing. But this is a YA, like, urban fantasy set in like 1800s, around like early 19th century, I want to say, England, where Cordelia Carstairs goes and like to like avoid a scandal after her dad did a thing, and she reunites with some of her childhood best friends, and things happen. There's romance, there's intrigue, there are demons, there's possession, there's reviving people back from the dead. I have a lot of thoughts on this book that I will not say in this video because I have a review and a vlog. The next book is another book that I have read before. I read this back in like 2020 or 2021. I want to say 2021, 2022. One of those. But that is Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I did really enjoy, well, let me just say what this book is about. This is an adult romance novel following young Olive as she is trying to get through her PhD candidacy. That is until one day her best friend, who is like trying to get after the guy that she like went on one date with, was like, no, I can't date him because you like him still. And she's like, no, I don't like him. We only went on one date. She goes up and kisses one of the meanest PhD professors, Adam, and they spark this whole fake dating thing to ensure that Adam does not get kicked out, and to ensure that her friend lays off of her for not dating. I really enjoyed this one. I haven't read any other of Ali Hazelwood's, any other book by Ali Hazelwood. I have heard very mixed things about the other books, but I really enjoyed this one, so I'm very glad I got my own copy just so I can reread the heck out of it and just like relive the fun little turn your brain off kind of romance. Yes, I am aware this is a fan fiction. The next book that I have is a sequel to a book I've already read, so I will also leave that vlog link down below for y'all, and that is The Atlas Paradox by Olivia Blake. This is a sequel to The Atlas 6. This is a new adult kind of dark academia fantasy novel following 6 adults, magicians, witches, who are asked to join this very secret society, but they have to like compete against one another to kind of prove that they're meant to be here. And eventually they kick someone off, and there was a whole thing that was like wild and confusing and left me on a cliffhanger. And I need to read it, but I haven't had the chance to read it yet because I'm kind of afraid. The first book was just like very flowery. It like in a good way. I love the writing style. I loved the floweriness of it. I love kind of the pretentiousness of it. But because it is so flowery and kind of pretentious, part of me is so hesitant to read it because I don't know if I'm in the headspace to accept pretentious flowery. So hopefully I'll get the chance to read this book soon before I forget about The Atlas 6, which I don't think I will because there was like a huge plot twist in there that had me like, wait, what? Then there was like a weird romance thing in there that had me like, wait, what? So very intrigued to see, but yes. Hopefully I enjoy this book. The next book is a book I read for my 5-star predictions vlog, my 5-star predictions vlog, and I will leave that link down below, as I have been saying for a lot of these books. But that is Ace of Spades by Farida Abike Iyamide. This is a YA kind of dark academia mystery thriller. It gives me Gossip Girl and these Pretty Little Liars kind of situation, where these 2 young black students, the only 2 black students in this entire school, end up on their senior year and are like trying to just kind of get through it. They're trying to figure out exactly what is happening, to like trying to figure out their futures, trying to just wrap up this year with the least amount of stress and pain as possible. That is until a mysterious figure starts releasing people's secrets, specifically their own secrets. This book deals a lot with systematic racism and racism in general, and kind of the internalization of all of it. I gave this, I think, a 4 to 5 stars. I won't go too much into detail because I do have my my wrap up and then my vlog on it, so you guys can get my thoughts on it. I did like this book. I did really enjoy this book actually. I will be picking up more of this author of Farida's books in the future whenever those come out, and I'm very glad I got the hardback because I think the paperback is like set like against a blue background, and it's not my favorite color combo, so I really like this one. It's just very nice. The next 3 books I read for another vlog that put me in my slump. Not all 3 of the books, but one of the books. I also got COVID in the middle of filming this vlog. Neither here nor there. But the first book on that is That Time I Got Drunk and Saved the Demon by Kimberly Lemming. These 3 books were meant to be part of like my Do I Like Cozy Books vlog. This is an adult fantasy romance following young Cinnamon, who just wants to grow up and be a spice farmer. She does not want the fast life of being a hero. She just wants a quiet life. That is until one day, as the title suggests, she gets drunk and accidentally saves a demon. I think his name is Fallon, and kind of throws her into a quest of saving demon kind everywhere. Like I said, I have a vlog. Watch that. Enjoy that. Did enjoy this book. I will be continuing on with the series though. I'm very excited about the rebrands, like the new covers, because I got this cover at the tail end right before the re-releases came out. So I'm hoping I can like find the last set of these covers before they sell out on Amazon and just buy them all and call it a day. Cause like if they don't match, I'll be very upset with myself that I decided to not wait until the covers were re-released. The next book, again, part of that vlog, is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. This is an adult, cozy fantasy following Viv, an orc who wants to retire from her adventuring way. She's not vibing with the fact that she has to be fighting all the time. She wants to relax and open a coffee shop that she found when she was, I think, in Gnome territory. I forgot the place. She opens up a coffee shop, and that her biggest issue at the current moment is that the people of Thume in this city have no idea what a coffee shop is. This was just like cozy perfection. It was like such a low stakes novel where, again, the biggest struggle for her was just trying to make sure people knew what coffee was so her business would continue. I really loved this book. I think I will continue reading on with Travis Baldry's other works. I know there are like prequels before, but I don't know if I'm in the mood to read a prequel. I just want to continue on about this storyline and forward. But it's just like a nice mesh of like casual D&D and cozy D&D mishaps that can only happen, and it was just so warm and fuzzy, and I felt so comfortable and so cozy and so in the moment reading this book. I'll leave my vlog for it. Like I said, I don't have a wrap up quite yet because I'm still in such a slump that I have only read like 4 or 5 books this entire summer. The last book that was meant for that cozy series is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. It's an adult academic cozy fantasy, I guess, following Emily Wilde as she travels to like some place in Norway, which part of me was like, I don't know where in my brain did not connect the fact that she was like saying very like Danish or like Norwegian sounding words. I thought she was like in Ireland or Scotland for like a good chunk of the book, until I looked at a word and I was like, you know, I'm not blessed in like Irish, but that doesn't look Irish. Then I was like, I texted, our buddy read this with Lisa, and I texted Lisa and I was like, are they not in Ireland or Scotland? She's like, no, they're not. And I was like, but like I said, she is on her way to write a manuscript about fairies and the fairy folk and all those things in between, and she goes to this quaint little town somewhere in Eastern European. I think Norway's an Eastern European. I was just informed, not Eastern. It's Western. Listen, I come from America, okay? We don't do geography. We don't do geography. It's not a thing here. I know like where continents are, and that's about the max of my geographical knowledge. Next book is a book that I have read quite a lot, but it was a present from my sister. Again, we walked into Barnes & Noble. She was like, I will let you buy like 1 or 2 books. So the first book that I got was a Modern Tarot book, I believe, and the second book was this one. And I guess Barnes & Noble has new covers for classics. I'm going to show you guys. Sorry. It's freaking amazing. But that is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. It's a classic novel following a young man who wants to stay youthful. There's more layers to the book, but he wants to stay youthful forever, so he sells his soul. And the portrait that he has gotten done for himself that he wanted, like, that made him sob so badly because he was like, that portrait will stay beautiful and young forever and I will grow ugly and decrepit, is now growing ugly and decrepit while he stays young and beautiful forever with But look at this, look. But I love these new covers that they have at Barnes & Noble of the classics. Like, look at that. We got the floral, we got the little tassel thingy, and we got the gilded edges. It's cute. I think this is by Chiltern Publishing. So if you guys are looking for like really beautiful floral, like simple covers, I would say, of classics that don't have a weird painted portrait of a man on there, I recommend this cover. The next book on this list is by an author that I adore, even though I've only read 2 of their books. But that is The Beautiful Ones by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I feel like I got on the Silvia Moreno Garcia train, like I knew about her, got on the train just like a tad late, and then all of a sudden she published all of these books, and I feel so behind on all of these books. Like, there's the one about the vampires, there's the one about Dr. Moreau's daughter, there's like, I think she did a re-release of one of her older books that were no longer in publication. I'm very overwhelmed by the amount of books that has been put out from this author. So I'm trying to catch up. But this is one of her newest releases. I don't know what this one's about. I know it's like I want to say it was like a retelling, I think. I think it's Great Gatsby. But this also like started being talked about at the same time that Neveu's Great Gatsby re-release. Neveu's Great Gatsby retelling was coming out, so I could be really mistaken, but I'm very intrigued by this. As you guys know, I have loved all of the books that I have read by Silvia Moreno Garcia, and that is just the Mexican Gothic and Gods of Jade and Shadow, so very intrigued by this. I will be very intrigued and probably love the book as well. The next one's a present from a friend, Sam. We love our Sam. We love my sweet Sam because she just wrapped up my backlisted collection of TJR's work, and that is One True Love by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and it is not the theatrical cover. This is an adult, I wouldn't even say romance, because I don't think like a lot of her like backlisted works technically qualify as romance. I would say contemporary fiction novel following a young woman who is married to the love of her life, the absolute love of her life. They're both journalists together, and they're like in love, and nothing can go wrong. That is until one day her husband's airplane or helicopter goes down and goes missing over the Pacific, and her life is changed forever. We jump forward naturally several years into the future, where she is now falling in love again, I think getting remarried. Yes, she's getting remarried, she's engaged to this new man, and just as she's like feeling comfortable in this fact, her old fiance or husband, her husband comes back from the dead and is like, I never died, I'm here. Again, TJR, I think, just really enjoys writing stories about the concept of multiple soulmates, of different ways to celebrate love and all those things in between. So I can't really ever categorize her books as romantic, because they're not romantic. So, but I'm very excited to read this, because I have, like, I think, I need to reread them. So I think I might do a vlog where I just reread all of her backlisted works and just get emotionally stunted for like a month, or emotionally damaged for a month. But I think I have enjoyed all of, I don't think I've rated them decently high. Like, I think, where is it? Maybe In Another Life was like 3 out of 5 stars for me. Forever Interrupted was I think a 4, and I think After I Do was a 5. But I think if I were to look back on all the TJR books I have read, I think the only one I haven't read is Carrie Soto. I think I prefer her backlisted works more than her more popular works, I think. Just because I think, like, there's so much depth and, like, messaging behind her backlisted works, and I love the concept that she puts in there of, like, multiple soulmates. What does it mean to be in love in a relationship? What is, like, marriage? What is love? What, you know, all those things I just enjoy a lot more, put in, like, a very simplistic format. And she does toy with this concept a lot, again, and, like, Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and Daisy Jones and the Six, and, like, again, with, like, the concept of, like, what is love and what is marriage and what is, like, self in Malibu Rising. But I really loved the way she puts it in her backlisted works. The next book is The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. I don't remember how I picked this up. I think Lisa read the book, and I was like, Lisa and I tend to line up in, like, terms of, like, our romances. We really enjoy, like, our like, romances, we tend to really enjoy, like, the books that we read. And then, like, Andrea and I tend to line up more with, like, our fantasies. I think. It seems to be the case whenever, like, Andrea recommends a fantasy and I enjoy it and Lisa's a little eh. Or, like, when Lisa recommends a fantasy and I enjoy it and Andrea's a little bit more eh about it. Tends to line up. But I have heard really, like, good things about this. I think this is about, like, a ghostwriter who, like, goes home and, like, beyond past her deadline, and then she finds that the editor is there, and then she finds out that he's dead as well. It's a whole thing. So I'm intrigued to see it. It gives me, like, I like this concept. I read this, like, similar concept way back in the day, and with, like, what is it? Where is the book? It's, like, To Kiss a Fallen Angel or something? Hold on. Kissed by an Angel. That was that one. My mom bought that book for me when she was, like, trying to get me away from the vampire. She's like, look, it says angel. It's angelic. It's not read it. But I really enjoyed that concept of, like, ghosts coming back and, like, romance and sadness and, like, all that stuff. I'm very intrigued. The next book that I bought is another chonker, but it's for another 5-star predictions vlog, which you guys will be seeing soon once I start filming it and get the other book for it. But that is The Sun and the Void by Gabriela Romero Lacruz. This is an adult fantasy, I believe. Yes, it's about a girl. It's a fantasy? I'm gonna say it's no YA. Not a lot of YA is this thick, so I think I'm gonna say it's adult fantasy. Talked about, like, creatures in the mountains, trying to be, like, talking about magic. There's a lot of things. I think I'll leave my 5-star predictions video down below so you guys can get a chance to take a look at, like, the books I'm planning on reading for those videos and, like, the synopses. So yes, but this looks very interesting. It has, like, the deckled edges, which, like, when I was younger I did not understand. Like, I read, I think it was what is it? Shoot. It's not Sweeney Todd. It's the Unfortunate Events, I think. It's been so long. But that series, and I just was very upset that all of the books I had borrowed from the library were destroyed by someone else with how the edges were. And then I learned as I got older, it's a purposeful thing. It's a purposeful design. So, applause to young Therese for not knowing any better. The last book on this list is one that I do have a review on. I just dropped that review a couple weeks ago, so you guys can take a look at it. And that is To Shape a Dragon's Breath by Monique Blackgoose. This is the first book in the Nampeshwisit series. Did I say that correctly? The Kindle version didn't have a pronunciation guide, or my Kindle didn't have it, so I'm just, a lot of the pronunciations I had in my head, Nampeshi Wasit. I think I did that right. But it's a YA high fantasy novel, kind of set in like an academic setting, so for all y'all academic hoes out there. For all the academic girlies and boilies. This follows young Anekus as she is like in her island with her family. And you know, dragons to them have been long extinct because of the great, I think, burning or the great dying. It's one of the two that was mentioned in there. But that is until one day she hatches a dragon egg and is now thrust into the world of colonizers, where she has to fit in and kind of get good grades so she can keep her dragon and eventually help this dragon learn how to, as the book states, shape its breath and help create resources for her family back home. I adored this book so much. It's a new favorite. Probably will be in one of my top 3 of 2023. But if you guys want to know more about my thoughts on it, I will leave that review link down below for you guys. But that is it for all the books I have hauled from the end of last year to the middle of this year. If you guys want me to prioritize any specific books, or you want me to make a review of any of the books I have not read so far, let me know in the comments down below and I'll go ahead and get to that. But like I said, a lot of these books that are on this list have been read before. They do in fact have lots of, I do have reviews and vlogs for them, so they should be in the description box for y'all to peruse for your enjoyment. But until next time, hope you guys are having a wonderful, wonderful week and stay safe, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.